Welcome to another Triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Hello, Triathlon community. Jenna-Caer here, and we are back with another episode of another Triathlon podcast brought to you by Mauna Endurance. As always, I'm in great company with Fede and Josh by my side. We are setting our sights on some incredible racing coming up actually tonight and the rest of this weekend. So we're going to be talking all about the Paris Test event, the PTO Asian Open in Singapore. And of course, we've always got our regular segments lined up, from the WTF Moment of the Week to our social media posts, and of course, your listener questions. So let's get into it. And we'll start with how things are going with our own training. Josh, it sounds like you have a bit of an update here. How's the marathon training going?
So I've been doing a lot of traveling. Have been in Florida for a few days, home for a week or so. So I went like 10 days without any running, 12 days maybe, but doing a lot of rehab and a lot of cycling, a lot of swimming, red light therapy, icing, compression boots, everything I could think of. And it started to get better. And it started to feel well. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is going to work. I don't have to go to a doctor. This is going to be all right. And I started biking harder, pushing some longer sessions. I actually set like a new 60-minute PR on a ride the other day. And it felt great the day after. And I was getting up out of the saddle too. So I was like, that was the part that hurt me before. And that felt good. So I flew to San Francisco last night, got here. Hey, you got to do a shakeout run after you fly for 6 hours. It's like, what a perfect time to do that. And I just did a 30-minute jog last night. I just couldn't get my stride to be comfortable. And I thought maybe it would loosen up, and thinking maybe it's like heel bursitis or something like that. But it's not feeling good. So I don't think September 10th is going to happen for me. But I'm going to be able to train, and I've found ways to train and stay in shape, and we'll see what that leads me to. But after my trip from San Francisco here to Mexico, I'm going to go check a doctor out, I think. So yeah. Note to self, go get to the doctor right away.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it. It's so frustrating when you get sidelined by injuries, especially when you're geared up, the training's going well, the body's feeling good. And you've accomplished a lot already this year with kind of getting a PR at that triathlon and getting ready to go for a marathon. But I think most of our listeners have probably dealt with the same thing at some point. It's kind of the beauty and the challenge of endurance sports is you want to see how far you can push yourself and push your body, but it doesn't take too much to go that one little bit too far, or just step the wrong way, or just tweak something. And it could be the most minor thing, and then it turns into more of an injury. But sounds like you did all the right things trying to rehab it, and hopefully you can get some answers from the doctor and see if there's a bigger issue going on there. Hopefully not, but just might take a little bit more time to recover and get back to it.
Yeah. And I think one of the reminders is too, it's not only go to the doctor, but stick to your training plan. They're there for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. and you two coaches would probably be to
all my athletes.
So that overuse thing and things like that, like I didn't twist my ankle. I didn't fall down. It just didn't feel good after a long run. And that's what happens when you add an extra 3 miles to a certain day or something like that. So I learned, and that's why I'm talking to professionals and talking to people who know what they're doing, and slap my wrist and come back better.
We've definitely all been there. Last time I did that, tried to kind of train on my own and get it in. And I definitely have that same A-type personality. Want to go do more. Start training for a marathon way too soon and fractured my pelvis. So we all have to learn that hard way. But the good news is typically after you do it the first time, it's a little bit easier to avoid because you kind of start to get a better feeling for those signs and kind of get a little bit more tuned into your body. But it absolutely, that doesn't discount how much it sucks at the moment when you're like, okay, I was geared up, wanted to go. And there is some disappointment there, I'm sure.
Definitely. But I'm through that. I think that first few days after it happened, those were that mindset was not great. But then once I started training again and felt good, I know I can get back there and I know I can keep training. I just won't be doing a
Absolutely.
marathon. So that's the cool part to me. And so this time around, even though it didn't go well last night, I feel like I'm in a much better spot. I actually ordered a walking boot preemptively and I'm going to need that. So I don't re-injure it anymore while I'm on vacation. But yeah,
Mhm.
I'm in a good spot. So that's the fun part about it.
Well, at least with swim, bike, run, you can always usually do at least one of them. So you'll be able to keep getting that endorphin hit and keep the fitness there in the meantime.
Time to work on my swimming.
There we go. You're in a beautiful place for it. Just go do some open water swimming.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Fede? How are things going on your front?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that, Josh, but I'm sure you'll bounce back fairly quickly. And we've all been there. I mean, that's the beauty about endurance sports. It's very exciting once we start to get super fit and we want to squeeze in a couple more sessions because we feel so good. But like you said, it's so important to stick to the plan and not overdo it because then things can get messy. But no, man, you'll bounce back very, very quick. And now that you're in Cabo, you might be, I mean, I'm gonna let you some homework and look at the place and see if you like it, and maybe we'll come back in November to do the 70.3. Um,
Go.
There you
yeah,
go. Send it my way.
there you go. But yeah, on my front, I've been swimming a bit, doing a lot of CSS, so critical swim speed training, which is not my forte, as a lot of people know. It's so taxing on me. Just swimming fast is super hard for me. Didn't grow up as a swimmer, so everything that's above race pace feels like I'm just dying. But yeah, enjoying the process and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can squeeze a couple seconds here and there on my swim times. What about you,
That's
Jenna?
well, my training has been fairly non-existent the last little bit here. Yeah, the thing with triathlon training, sometimes life is going to get in the way, and that absolutely has been the case the last little while here. But it was a fun weekend regardless. I was down. I work for a bike race, Les Tap by Tour de France, and we've got a couple events in the U.S. and Canada. And this weekend was our Canadian event over in Strathcona County near Edmonton. If you're a triathlon fan, you'll definitely know Edmonton from some of the WTCS races and the PTO Canadian Open last year. But yeah, it's putting on these events in the last few days is basically you're running on adrenaline for most of it. 12, 14-hour days of just kind of problem solving, getting a bunch of content. So I do all of their digital content and a lot of work with our ambassador for the weekend there. So we had Jens booked this weekend, and we had him at a couple other ones. So I was shooting a bunch of content with him, which is always interesting. And he's got some great stories of the Tour de France. But it's a lot of running around all over the place, which I've learned after burning myself out the first couple times, the first few times as part of these races. I tried to get in all the training on top of the lack of sleep, on top of the stress, and I would just be trashed for a week afterwards. Like it was like I had just done an Ironman. So I've learned to dial back on the training a fair bit. So at least instead of getting some mediocre training while I'm there and then being exhausted for the week afterwards, I can get very minimal training in and then hit it hard when I get back home. So that's the approach I took this time. And I think it worked a lot better. But I'm definitely on a high of seeing people race and reach their goals and just get all sucked up in that incredible just race atmosphere. I love it so much. It was a blast.
I think just being at events like that just gives you that's like that other dopamine side of things too. Like even if you're on the
Yeah.
organizing side of it and you're not, you're watching other like your child succeed. Like it's
Mhm.
you help put this event together. You helped other people enjoy their weekend and their week and things like that. And then we get to learn things about you. You don't have to have hand-eye coordination to do triathlon apparently.
Oh my goodness.
So Jenna had me laughing with her attempt to play baseball. I mean, you got to have some
Yeah,
fun on
yeah.
the last night. It looks like. So why don't you fill in some people like, hey, they don't have any hand-eye coordination, but they're worried about doing triathlon. Guess not.
Right? And you know what? It's the same as the Tour de France legends in there too. So I'm not alone in that. But Yeah, no, the last night, it's definitely a crazy few days. So we went out with the team after the race, and it's funny. You're up at like 3:30 in the morning, and you're going all day, and then we want to let off some steam. So we found this great bar in Edmonton, and it had a bunch of activities that you do. There was batting cages, bowling, pool, a giant wheel from The Price is Right kind of thing, and ping pong, and it just reiterated my complete lack of hand-eye coordination, and I was absolutely brutal at all of them, like embarrassingly bad at all of them. But except for the Price is Right wheel. That's pure luck. So I won that one. But it's definitely interesting being on the other side because I am pretty competitive, but I'm just so bad at anything with hand-eye coordination. So had a few more cocktails and just enjoyed the time out. But it was a lot of fun. It was funny because it was like me who, training for Ironman, and then Jens, who's Tour de France legend and stuff, and both of us zero hand-eye coordination. So it was definitely interesting to see the juxtaposition between race day, everyone's going hard and doing well, to zero skill or talent and a late night out.
See, we asked that question to some of our guests, like what would be the leg that they would want to add, and this clearly we know which ones that you would not be adding. Maybe the ones that you. It's always funny seeing some of those like clips and stuff online too. Like when you have these elite athletes and professional athletes, and then you put them in another sport and they don't have a clue and they just look completely out of place. It's like you forget that it doesn't translate all over. Like I was lucky enough growing up, I played every sport. So I can I can hold my own in most things, and it actually frustrates my wife. That's like, why are you like averagely good at all this stuff?
Yeah.
So when you see somebody struggling at something who's so good at something else, it's like, wow, but that's what your focus has been recently and things like that. So it's that hand-eye coordination is an interesting one for sure.
Yeah. The only one worse at the batting cages than me was Jens Vogt. So there's definitely a delineation between
But you need hand-eye coordination in these disciplines too. I mean, cycling and all that. But no. And I was going to add something to what Fede was talking about too on the swimming part, on the CSS like tests and some of those workouts. I actually am one of the ones who's like struggling with my swim, but I struggle to go slow. I struggle to get a race pace. Whereas like I can do a 200 and a 400 and get through it and be pretty taxed, but I can actually do pretty well at that. It's when I have to go longer and slower and that endurance test, that's where it starts to get hard for me. So I think if he can get a little better at those sprint distances and take a few seconds off of his endurance time, it'll start just building some confidence. But I would love to be able to swim slow.
Yeah, it's funny. That's something that I find with a lot of athletes, actually across all three sports, is when you get started in it, you have no real separation of paces. Everyone just has the pace they go. And it's especially bad in the water. Like there should be like a 20-second range and you're slow to your fast paces per 100 meters in there. Smaller, obviously, if you're a faster swimmer. But it's the same with the running too. People just kind of have their everyday pace that they go out at. And usually it's like zone 3, gray zone, hard-ish. So it's not hard enough where you're really getting that VO2 or that threshold work, but it's not easy enough that you're really building up the aerobic endurance or the fat oxidation. It's always just this hard-ish. So it's definitely one thing that I'm a big fan of, having paces in the pool, and then also having like power on the bike or heart rates on the run where you can just very clearly separate out what those zones should be so that they're not always in that hard-ish. But the swim is the hardest place to do it. So when you try to slow down, your body starts to sink if you don't have that core strength. So it feels like you're not moving anywhere and you feel totally weird. That it gets a lot harder. But yeah, it's one of those tough ones. But core strength definitely helps with the slowing down, but not feeling like you're going at a complete angle.
Well, like I said, I got plenty of time to work and enhance all of those areas.
Perfect. Yeah. Be good rehab too.
For sure.
Actually, that's how I got into triathlon, was a running injury and then had to rehab it and got sucked into this crazy sport.
That's kind of what got me into it. I was training for my first half marathon and started cycling to rehab. And that's, same thing. Got me into it. So back to that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, a little behind the scenes, folks. We have lost Fede at the moment, so hopefully he'll be able to jump back on here and we can have some more fun chatting with him. But we will keep rolling through here and jump into our What the F moment of the week. So I was watching, I was on my trainer this morning, where I often am, and I was watching Lionel Sanders' latest video about his thoughts on the US Open, the PTO US Open. And one thing that I found shocking in that was that he's never been to a wind tunnel. He's never tested his aerodynamics. Would you think 10 years in the sport, getting towards that high end, and especially with he's kind of known for his inefficiencies. Like not the most aerodynamic person, and in his run doesn't look very efficient. He goes very fast with it, but I was just really surprised to hear that he has not done any wind tunnel testing, and it sounds like Canyon has set him up to go do some of that to get it dialed in and opt to pay for it and everything. But it was just so surprising to me, especially these days where pros are just dialing in their aerodynamics to the nth degree and to the point where they can't see where they're going. So it's definitely a few quick wins if you get those aerodynamics dialed. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
Well, let's see where it takes him. I mean, he's in his own world, right? And that's the cool part about Lionel. I mean, he runs like I look like I'm running now. But so maybe it hasn't. It's just not something that he's concerned himself with. He's like, let's just get fit. Let's get in my own world and do what I need to do and coach myself and do these things. So if he can find something else at this stage of his career and eke out another win or two at an elite event, then maybe he is going to open up his mind to doing some more of this type of testing and lactate testing and all that type of stuff that most people are like, how do I get there? What is that next second, millisecond? I mean, it's crazy when you start talking about like speeding up transition times and all that stuff when these are such long events. But it matters to stay in those groups off of the swim into the bike and off the bike into the run and being with the pack. So maybe it will help him. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what his take is. His videos are always fun to watch anyways.
Yeah, if he does do it, I hope he does a video to kind of show the differences because, like, there's no denying he's on par. Like, his power is crazy. He's on par with all those top guys and stuff, but he's just bleeding time with some of those inefficiencies, right? And that's what he really goes into in that conversation on the video. So it was interesting. I would love to go to a wind tunnel. That would be so much fun. I am such like a geek for the aerodynamics. I think I've said before, but my power isn't like crazy high and it's lower than a lot of the women I'm racing, but just I spent years being flexible enough and able to ride in a position that I don't need to get out of so I can go a lot faster at that power than, if I was going to be a lot more upright. So that's all energy that I'm not burning that I can save for the run. So like that was surprising to me. One time I did this really cool virtual wind tunnel that was actually a lot of fun. It was an offset of 4 eyes, and they basically take an iPad and like go all around you and do this 3D rendering of what your position looks like. And I was like, okay, how accurate could this be, right? Like I just thought, I'm in my basement and you've got an iPad going around. Like this really can't be that close, right? I did Calgary 70.3 at that time was just like as flat gets on this bike course. So they asked me what my power output was at Calgary 70.3, and I told them, and they took that rendering, and they said, okay, we predict your bike split would be 219. I went like 219.20 in that race, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a little bit more dialed in than I thought it was.
That's crazy. I mean, it's interesting where technology has come, even in that virtual world. I mean, there's so many virtual bike fittings became such a big thing during COVID. Yeah. So capabilities are there. Obviously, wind tunnels and things like that. Most age groupers don't have access to that type of stuff. So, but for a professional, especially one as decorated as Lionel, why aren't you doing it? Like you said, what WTF? Come on now.
Yeah. Get after it. I'd be curious to see the wattage difference that like if he could apply that power much more efficiently, that'd be really cool to see because we've seen it with all the top Uber bikers now. Like it's another reiteration of kind of the Sebi Kienle effect. He came in and started dialing in all the aerodynamics, and suddenly he's way off the front kind of thing. But then people started to catch up and started to get some of the same gains and benefits and get up to his speeds. And then it's just going up another level again with 3D printing bottles and adapters and everything, or sticking water bottles down your chest. It's seems like it's going up another level there. And there's only, at that point in your career and being that fit, there's only so many more watts to be gained.
Yeah.
When there's a whole lot more to be gained just by going faster at a lower effort.
Right. Or just be Jason West. Work on your run.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Just run through everyone.
Enjoy life. I mean, some of the things he said after the PTO, like just like how much that guy's enjoying his life overall is really cool, and a cool reminder that like you don't have to be that dialed in. Like he just seems like a cool dude to hang out with.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because you definitely see it on both sides. Like some of the pros are near hermit-like in their practices and have everything dialed in to the nth degree, don't sway from their nutrition plan, their training plan, and all that. And that, man, that's a lot. I mean, some of the best in the world are doing that, like Christian Blumenfeld, very same way. He, doesn't drink, make sure everything is kind of dialed into performance, and it absolutely works. But it's cool to see when pros have a little bit more balance in their life and are still able to achieve these incredible feats and just loving life. Like,
yeah,
that, there's some credence to that too. But
for sure.
Anyways, let's jump on to our social media post of the week. What do you got for us?
So I don't know if everyone has seen this post. I like to find ones that a lot of people have viewed at least, and bring it out because maybe some of our viewers haven't. There is a lady over in London, Triathlon Jade is her name, Jade Kingdom. She's a Guinness Book World Record holder for being the first woman with Down syndrome to complete a sprint triathlon, which I believe she did a year or two ago, which is really cool. A lot of us are familiar with Chris Nikic and his 1% Better campaign and everything he's done there. Well, she's been doing the same thing over in the UK. And this past weekend, she did the London Olympic triathlon. And so double the distance and was able to complete that. And she put together a whole reel and a social media post. So if you go to her page, Triathlon Jade is the Instagram account. She's got over 1 million views on that reel. And she's also raising money, raising awareness for hospice care. There's a facility, an account over there that she follows and has raised thousands and thousands of pounds for. So really cool how she's taken her notoriety and what she's capable of doing and hopefully inspiring others to do the same thing. So give her a follow, give her a check out and start liking and commenting on her stuff. But yeah, at Triathlon Jade. And the most recent reel is the one from this past weekend at the Olympic race that she did.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's so inspiring, especially, these days there's so many excuses why you can't exercise or why you can't get out there. And it's inspiring to see someone who does have more challenges than the average person kind of getting out there, reaching their goals, going after them. And, there's no reason why you can't chase down your goals. So very inspiring, very cool to see where she goes for this too. It's such an incredible, I guess, way to challenge yourself and just raise some money for a good cause as well. And some of that awareness, like you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always, like you said, there's other people out there with so many more challenges. And during a race, it's one of those things that I use as a reminder when I feel like I'm struggling. I'm like, yeah, but somebody's doing this with one leg. Somebody's doing this with a prosthetic or somebody's on a hand cycle. I can get through this. And she's out here proving everyone wrong, being the first of, and yeah, that's top notch type stuff. But it is a reminder to all of us that there's so much more that we can do. And it's pretty awesome that she's been able to reach a lot of people with this one.
That's fantastic. Well, let's jump into some questions from the audience here. So we're down a coach, but Josh, you always have some great insight and I can talk way too long about this stuff anyway. So I think we should still have some good content here. So we have our first question from Dan. As I'm approaching my peak training weeks, how do I recognize the difference between the training fatigue you need and the onset of overtraining or burnout? So This is definitely something that I get a fair bit of with athletes, because the training, if you're not kind of a lifelong athlete, if you haven't been doing it forever, it's a lot harder to recognize those signs of overtraining or burnout. I know so many of us, like I mentioned, are A-type and really driven, and what you need to look for is a few signs to see if it is just regular training fatigue. If you're kind of tired and dragging in the afternoon, you have a bit of a slowdown, just feel tired, that's fairly normal if you're balancing training for an Ironman and working in life and family and everything there. Some of the things to really look for, the biggest one I talk about with athletes is sleep. So if you start to find that your sleep is interrupted, like you're waking up throughout the night or you're waking up super early even though you're exhausted, that's a really big sign that there's some hormonal imbalance going on, that your body's not recovering. It's in kind of this fight or flight stress zone all of the time. Your sleep will be the first one to go. So if you notice 2 or 3 days where your sleep is really interrupted and you're not, like I said, you're not getting the sleep that you need, that's definitely one of those first defense lines where you're like, okay, I need to take a step back, see what I'm doing in the training, see if I'm really over fatigued before it kind of gets into that deep burnout. And honestly, that's something I'm totally guilty of myself, is just going too hard. And once you kind of get into that really deep fatigue and that burnout, it's the hormonal implications are really the biggest thing that you're fighting. And if you don't catch it early, then that's something that can take you out for weeks to months if you really go in deep into that. So sleep is definitely the first thing to look for. Another thing I tell athletes to look for too is just loss of appetite. Again, it seems to be this thing where your basic needs start to shut down when you're just in this fight or flight all the time, and your adrenal system is not getting the chance to slow down. So if you find you're doing the training and you're just not hungry at all, that can be another sign that your body is just kind of overstressed in a lot of different ways. And then on another side, kind of tied into that, is if you find you're gaining weight is another one. So if you're not recovering, your body is going to be very inflamed, and that's not going to go away because you're just not actually able to absorb the training load, and your body again is just super stressed. This all comes down to hormones, but those are kind of the signs of it. So if you find you're gaining weight, feeling super bloated, that can be another sign that things are definitely out of whack. The last thing I'll just mention there is just soreness from muscles that doesn't go away after a few days. If you find you go for a hard workout and 3 or 4 days later you're still feeling sore, still feeling it, then you're definitely not recovering from the training there. So that's something to take a look for as well. So those are a few of the early detection signs for getting into that overtraining and burnout period. You really, like I said, you just want to make sure that doesn't go too deep. I've gotten to the point where I couldn't run for 5 minutes in a row when I just, trained for an Ironman, was in the best shape of my life. When you really get deep into that burnout, it has some long-lasting implications, which I learned the hard way. So definitely if you're starting to feel that way, back it off, give yourself some time to recover. It's the months of training and consistency that make the difference, not a few sessions that you take some time to rest and recover instead. So like this weekend, I learned that I cannot do all of that and do hard training, or else I am trashed for a few weeks. You don't want to do the same with your training.
Yeah, and I'd just add to that. I mean, we were just talking about Lionel and technology and data and all of these things. There are really good technologies out there. Fede and I have talked about it on other episodes where we both use the Whoop, and that ball doesn't lie when I the Whoop doesn't lie. It's pretty spot on. So if I've had some hard sessions, I'm going to have some bad recovery scores if I didn't take in enough electrolytes after, or enough carbs and protein afterwards. So the hard workouts with the nutrition, and if that carries on for multiple days, typically you can have a bad recovery day during training. You're going to have them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's when you have multiple days in a row, like you're talking about, where that's the trigger that there's something going on. And you might want to dial it back. So for me, there are technologies out there to help you understand your body and what else is going on with your resting heart rate. You talked about losing your appetite. Your resting metabolic rate determines how much you're losing while you're sleeping in terms of burning during your sleep and things like that. So if those numbers start to go whack, then you know something might be going on. So just another little tool that's out there that you might be able to help figure out that answer to that question.
Yeah, no, that's a great point on the technology too. There's definitely HRV apps that you can use to track that. Garmin's really good with their tracker, and a number of the smartwatch companies are really getting some of those body metrics included in it as well. So, you know what, technology is never perfect, but it can be a good indicator if you're starting to see those trends going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, if you're good at using it, like I don't take my watches off. I sleep with them. I know some people don't like to sleep with them and things like that. Well, that makes it a little harder to get some data from. But if you're willing to get dialed in and figure that out, that's another way to do it.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a question here from Laney. How can I effectively balance training for all three disciplines without feeling overwhelmed or overtrained? So we seem to have some themes with these questions, which is perfect. But so one of the biggest things when I coach athletes, when I get started with them, I have a Sunday to Monday week laid out, or Monday to Sunday week laid out, where I ask them, like, realistically, how much time do you have to train on which days? And then use that schedule and play with intensity or volume to still get the training stress that they need with it working within their schedule. Now, I know not everyone is going to get a coach or can get a coach, but you can kind of do the same thing for yourself. Take a step back and really assess what is realistic in your life. If you're working a full-time job, have a family, have a commute, then you probably can't do a 4-hour ride on a Thursday. It's just not going to work. You're not going to get up at 2 a.m. and do it, or try to burn yourself out by going till midnight trying to get it in. So take a look at what is actually realistic with your life. If you have a family, if you have kids, talk with your partner and set a plan with them so that you're all on the same page and know what the expectations are. And then kind of backtrack the training from there. Start with what you can handle and then fit the training in around that. And we've talked about families and training with kids before. Talk with your partners, set up those expectations, and everything is a lot easier once you kind of know what your schedule looks like, what you can do, and then work it back that way. I find where people get most stressed out is when you've had a crazy hectic day and you see a long ride or a very hard ride after or at the end of the day. That can cause a lot of stress that whole day while you're worrying about it. And then you get into it, and by the time you start the workout, you're absolutely exhausted and over it, and you haven't even started. So yeah, just figure out what will work in your life and try to tailor it that way. I'm a little bit biased having a coach and being a coach, but I think a coach is a great way to help with that too. How about you, Josh? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head there too. I mean, having a coach for me was a big difference and a big change, because having a coach, as Jenna just said, she's willing to work with you on your schedule as opposed to just plugging it in and printing out a sheet of a training schedule for triathlon. And working with your specific needs and making sure you do understand your weekly schedule. Now, having a coach, you can also tweak that schedule if your week's going to change because of travel or work or things like that. So don't feel bad if you can't do your long run on a Sunday this week. You can do it on a Friday or a Thursday, or you just don't get it in and you change that week around. Maybe you do a longer bike someday, those types of things. So having that extra tool is a way to avoid that burnout. And just remember, you're doing this for fun, hopefully. And
Yes.
It's especially for us age groupers. So just keep that in mind and you'll be okay, especially if you've been training for a little while and you're getting into it. They'll all come around and you'll find some enjoyment there that will make you want to get to the pool at 5 a.m. and make you want to get on the bike at 6 p.m. if you have to do it after work, those types of things. So, but just be aware that things can change throughout the day if you don't do a morning workout.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's one more point for the overtraining thing. If you're absolutely dreading every single workout all the time, you're overtrained. Number one. Anyways, let's jump into more talk about the pros here. There are, some decent races happening this weekend. We really didn't have anything last weekend, so they're just hitting us doubly as hard this one. We have the Paris Test event going on for the men and the women, which is going to be absolutely incredible to watch, because not only is there the race on race day for ranking points and everything else, but there's going to be races within the races, as all these different federations have different qualification guidelines for their athletes to qualify for the Olympics. So you're going to be looking at some countries like the US, they need to get, I think, top 8 or some top ranking in there. And then not only that, but they have to be within the top 1 or 2 Americans. So it really changes up where they're not only racing their competition, they're almost more racing their countrymen at the same time. So it definitely makes the racing interesting, and everyone has different goals in it. So you might see some people hold back and not try to risk it for the win if they're just ahead of their fellow country people and they're like, okay, I just need to hold on and not blow up. It just totally changes up the dynamics of this racing. Now, the interesting question with this one, I don't know if you've seen any updates because I'm not sure, is if we've heard anything more on the water quality. Is it going to be a triathlon?
That's true. I have not seen anything to the contrary, but who knows? I mean, we know those water things usually come down to the last minute too. So it's like the night before, the morning of. I don't think I've heard anything for the women's event tonight. So we'll see. I guess we'll find out. And you talked about the countries and how each one has different qualifying processes and point systems and all of that. And then you get the Norwegians with Gustav, right? Not being left off.
Yeah.
And it sounds like because he doesn't also do the team relay event. Mm-hmm. So you've got that factor in it too. So somebody might not be in an individual event because they're not going to help the country out on the relay as well. So, I mean, obviously we all know what Gustav's capable of, but he was deemed not worthy of the Paris test event.
You know what the worst part is? So I've been watching, Talbot Cox he's doing a race week video series for the Paris test event in there. And Gustav is actually in Paris right now because it was too expensive to change his tickets. So he's racing in Singapore on the weekend, but he's in Paris right now because it was just too much of a financial hit to change the tickets to go straight to Singapore. So he's just going to hang out at the Paris test event. That has to be frustrating. Your federation pulls you off. You're already there. He could do something. He hasn't been doing great in the Olympic distance, but at least give him a shot to check out the course because they are shifting their focus from long course to the Olympics. So it could be a case of he gets dialed in and does better. I don't know. That seems brutal.
It does. I mean, he's getting some good social content with Talbot.
Hey, there we go. Doing it for the gram. Well, let's check out some of these start lists and see what it is going to look like. We will start with the women and put up here. So who we have racing, this is going to be such a brutal one to call. We've got Beth Potter, Cassandra Bogran, Taylor Spivey, Emma Lombardi, Summer Rappaport, Jenna-Caer, Sophie Caldwell, Rosa Maria Vidal, Nicole Vanderkay, Leona Perio, Lisa Tersch, Marlene Gomez Gogel, and it goes on and on and on. Even Taylor Nibbs down in 18th which is surprising. Got Katie Zafiris, Rachel Klammer. Just everyone is on this list. Anyone who could possibly have potential to win the Olympics is on here. So it is going to be such a fascinating race to watch go down. And it'll be interesting to see the tactics. I know a lot of people say Cassandra Bogran, she's going to win it. She's had great results, but she doesn't do as well at the Olympic distance. Once it starts to go a little bit longer, her record isn't quite as great. And kind of the same for Beth Potter. When you look at some of the tried and true athletes, like Taylor Spivey would be really good, but we don't have that standout, always going to win athlete like we've had in the past, like Katie Zafiris. She's going to be racing this weekend too, but she's not quite as dominant coming back from having a child and stuff. So I think when it comes to the Olympic distance, it is so open. There's so many names that could be on here. What are your thoughts on the race?
Well, this is that time of year. The reason why this event is getting the big publicity that it is, and it's so important, is because of the point system and the matter of getting there and getting that in there. But it is the test event, and it's okay. We're a year out from the games, and wow, this is real now. And it's such a big event for so many people to be able to put that tattoo on them themselves and have that for the rest of their lives for a lot of them one and done type thing. So I really am excited to see how people go at this. And then for some of them going from there to Singapore too, Christian. But on the women's side, I think, I mean, it's interesting to see. I don't know if Taylor Knibb can keep up with the swimmers in the short distance and make up the ground on the bike, but we'll see. She's in full form right now, but I'll go with another Taylor. I'll go with Taylor Spivey. I think I think she's got a chance. But like you said, it's such a huge field and an open event, and that distance is tough. You could have a bad day, and you don't have a chance.
Yeah, it really makes it crazy in here. I was just looking to see if Flora Duffy is gonna be on the start list and stuff too. It looks like she was on the start list, but it says, she's did not start. So I know she's been battling with some injuries and stuff in there. Again, one of those women that has been so incredibly dominant in the past. If she was healthy and on there, she'd be like, yeah, 100%. So that definitely makes it more interesting. You know what? I was going to say Spivey, but I will jump on the other Taylor bandwagon here. I know it's more technical. The cobbles and those don't technically play to Taylor Knibb's strengths. She's got incredible power. But yeah, just the form she showed at the PTO Open, like, her run was crazy off of that bike. Like, that was absolutely insane. So I'm going to go, Taylor Knibb. I think she's got it here.
I like it.
Okay, let's take a look at the men. Who do we got racing here? Okay, we got Hayden Wild, Vasco Velasa, Leo Biger, Matthew Hauser, Alex E., Christian Blumenfeld, Dorian Conix. One name I have no idea how to pronounce. Csongor. Songer? Sorry. I'm distracted. Adrian Bifford, Kenji Nina, Manuel Macias, Jonas Schomburg, Pierre Lacour, Yele Gaines, Tyler Misichuk, Henry Skuman, Antonio Serrazione. Like, again, just an absolute anyone who's anyone. Johnny Brownlee, Jacob Birtwhistle, Matt McElroy, Vincent Louis. And once again, I'd say this one, there's definitely more a case of like 2 or 3 guys that are 99% gonna win it unless there's something great. Well, maybe 3 or 4. It's definitely, there's a lot closer guys at the top here that have been battling it out. Like, you've got Hayden Wild, Leo Biger, Alex E., Christian Blumenfeld. They've been all, well, Christian Blumenfeld less so at the front recently, but he seems to be coming back into that form. It'll be interesting to see how this one turns out. I gotta wonder, when you have athletes like Hayden Wild or Alex E., where you know they can just run the house down and Hayden is going to crush the bike and Alex seems to be able to hang on now, do the swimmers just try to go max effort in the swim just to try to get some kind of break in the water to get away from them? Because if those guys are on the bike with you, no one's dropping Hayden on the bike. Right. And no one's dropping Alex on the run. So you think you gotta do something different, or else these guys are continue to just dominate.
And at that distance, the swimmers can still get some separation if they want to. And it's, again, if they're feeling good, there is going to be a difference. But somebody like Christian just proved he can now hang on a swim when he goes at it. And this isn't 100K, so maybe he won't be bonking coming off the bike and cramping up. So
won't be on the TT bike.
And won't be on the TT bike. So I really like Leo in this one too. I think we've seen him race. Going back to Daytona last year and some of the Clash endurance stuff. I think he's in a good spot. So that's my pick for this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Leo Biger. Gotcha. Oh, see. Having a hard time. You know what? I'm going to go Hayden Wild. Just love to see that guy race. Always seems to crush in there. And no one's picking Christian, but I just got to wonder, that is how crazy. He's going to go do this race on Friday and then race in Singapore on Sunday, Sunday afternoon.
So that's the part that makes it harder to pick him in Paris, right? Because what is he actually saving? And we all know he's a little frustrated what happened in Milwaukee. So is he really gunning for Singapore now? And Jan's not going to. Yeah.
Well, and no one else that's really gunning for the win at this event has just done the PTO Open in the US.
Right.
I know Christian's like Superman when it comes to endurance sports, but at some point the mental and physical fatigue has to come in a bit. And I think we're seeing that a little bit more this year. He was so dominant the last couple years, and now, he's trying to do everything, which is incredible to watch. But there's still a big difference between Olympic distance and 100K races in there. It's just totally different dynamics. The swim is way faster. The bike's a lot different, and just being in totally different bikes and positions. And yeah, curious to see how he goes.
You pointed out his schedule a while ago, and here we are. We're in the thick of it now.
Real, absolutely unreal. Yeah. So I am so curious to see how that goes down. Unfortunately, the time zones, it starts at like midnight. So I'm going to try to stay off social media in the morning and like watch it when I get up, and hopefully be surprised. There's nothing worse than seeing that race, like open Twitter or Instagram or something. It's like, bam, winner. You're like, oh, come on.
hard to avoid. And it's even worse for me too, because I'm in San Francisco right now and on the West Coast. So it's like that time zone difference. And that was the same thing. Like I followed the World Cup as much as I could, but those those matches were at 4:00 in the morning, 5:00 in the morning. It was like, oh man, 2:00 in the morning out here. So crazy. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think we've got some chances to have the winners picked here. So, and we'll see if the water is allowed.
I know, what you hope it is. Although I'm sure like someone like a Hayden or an Alex would be like, yeah, I'm good without the swim. Now, what I wonder is, did anyone do the swim recon this week? You got to think that'd be pretty risky.
That would be risky.
With the water quality in there. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a great idea, but how much benefit is there to knowing the course exactly compared to if you get sick from the water?
I think I'd let my eyeball test do the job on that one and hit the pool.
I know about where I have to go. Close enough.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into the next race here, the PTO Asian Open. So it's, pretty close between races between the US Open and then heading all the way over to Singapore, and just completely different atmosphere and climate going from Milwaukee to here. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes things up. And the fun part about these PTO races is who's in the race really changes the dynamics drastically. Yeah. Like it's, if you have some strong swimmers or not. So we have actually pretty close to a whole different crew coming out to Singapore. On the women's side, we have Ashley Gentle, Annie Haug, Lucy Charles, Barclay, Fenella Langridge, Chelsea Sidaro, Jocelyn McCauley, Sarah True, Imogen Simons, Annie Richmond, Sarah Sala, Ellie Salthouse, Lottie Williams, Jackie Herring, Janie Metzler. So, and it again goes on and on and on because these races are absolutely stacked in here. But yeah, I think that's going to change up the dynamics a fair bit, especially with Lucy Charles and Fenella Langridge, like leading out the swim and putting out that swim strength. I'm really curious how that changes the race if they are able to do something significant there. Because Lucy Charles Barclay, her swim is just so far ahead of the rest that this 100K distance, that's a huge asset.
It is a big asset. And I think, I don't know if you said Paula's going too, right? So that's another one from Milwaukee. I think that's on her list of races. Awesome. So that's another one. And I just actually, that was one of the ones, the videos I had watched this week too. I mean, what Lucy Charles has been through to get back. And I think she had thought about potentially Milwaukee, but ruled that out. But her injury was crazy too, coming off of, she finished an entire event, a 70.3, with a toe she fractured entering the water on the swim. And went through the bike and the run, running with what she thought was like a stone in her shoe, and actually stopped at one point to dump her shoe out, and there was nothing there. So, her training has been pretty dialed in, I think, with Singapore as the long shot, and we'll find out if she's ready. How much elliptical and just recently getting out and running on a treadmill and doing some run workouts. So. She's fresh, that's for sure. She hasn't raced as much as some of the others. And same thing with Chelsea, who's been battling injuries and whatever going into this too. So those two coming back to race this event is intriguing to me. And it makes it a little difficult to choose, but you have Ash, who's hungry again after losing in Milwaukee, and knows how close she was. So I think I'm actually going to go with Ash as much as I'd like to go with Chelsea or Lucy, but I'm going to go with Ash.
Mm-hmm. No, fair enough. And I was this one was tough because, first bets would have been Ashley Gentle in there, but with Lucy Charles Barclay, she's so good when she's on, and like that swim bike are going to be absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure it would be hard to catch up with her, but I'm going to go with Anne Haug. I want to see how she does in here. That run, she could do like a Jason West kind of run through the field and crunch over. Yeah. Curious to see how that goes. I think, I'll go with Anne Haug for that one.
Nice. And this is a region too. A lot of them have never been to. That's what I keep seeing that as they're heading over there. Like they're just really intrigued to see how the event's going to be because no one's raced in Singapore necessarily. So one of my most painful races ever was in Singapore. For one of the Super League races, did a team relay for it, but the team relay is like you do all three back to back in there and kind of do it that way, and the heat and the humidity are just next level. It is so brutal. It feels like you're swimming in bathwater. And then it feels like the air is like thick because it's so humid. Now, I came over from Canada in like February, so that probably didn't help, but it's really pretty over there, and it's a fun location that they'll have it at. So it'll be cool to watch, and hopefully they'll get some crowds and stuff to just kind of bump up the excitement. It's not going to be like Milwaukee, but be cool to see a few people out there cheering it on. It definitely helps the race atmosphere. Yeah, the heat and humidity is going to be a part of my training next week too. I didn't realize how warm it is in Cabo, which, okay, great. 89, 90 is, I mean, I can get 89, 90 where I live now. But the real feel is like 105 every day by like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I brought a lot of electrolytes with me on this trip.
Good. Oh man. Well, let's jump into how the men are looking. So we got Christian Blumenfeld, Sam Long, Max Newman, Ben Knut, Jason West, Sam Laidlow, Daniel Bakkegaard, Peter Hemrick, Aaron Royal, Florian Engert, Dennis Chevreau, David McNamee, Thomas Bishop, Mike Phillips. So Josh Amberger, again, goes on, and Gustav Eden, of course, we got to mention him. So this one will be, again, interesting. I'm really curious to see how Christian backs it up after the Paris test event. That is crazy. I'm wondering if his I wonder if his motivation is to just kind of get that Olympic spot and just get it done with and go to the US or the Singapore PTO race. But no, that's he's going to try to destroy and crush everyone. So never mind. Curious to see how Sam Long goes. I can't see this really being the race for him.
Again,
between the heat, humidity,
but that swim right in the 100K distance, he's so separated, and as good as your bike is, these guys are all pretty good, and he's not going to be able to catch them. So,
and I have with the hot water swims too. I think it's almost harder for the non-swimmers because you're moving less efficiently. Your body temperature is going to be higher. You're putting out more effort than those front guys who are moving better. And like I said, that water is just like bathwater. Like it is so hot that you're just dying from the start. So it'll be interesting to see. Okay.
Is Magnus on the list too?
Let's see. I'm not seeing him on this list, but I have noticed that they are not always up to date. So
I think he is on the list, or at least one of the ones I saw recently. But yeah, those PTO events are always changing. And I think they're and then you get a lot of the guys that are just getting ready for 70.3 Worlds too. So a lot of them are already.
Which is right after that too. Yeah, man, we're just in the thick of it.
So I'm gonna go. It's you pick first this time. You want to go Christian? You don't.
I'm gonna go Jason West. I think he runs through.
I was gonna go. That's why I'm glad I let you go first. And there were so many people coming out of Milwaukee that were hungry too, and had good events. I just can't, like you said, I can't see Sam doing it. Let's see what Josh Amberger can do.
Yeah, love it. That'll be good. He'll definitely make some impact in the swim there, and we'll see if he can keep it out front. That would be fun to watch for sure.
And
has he done any race recap for the U.S. Open?
I haven't seen it if he has, so we'll have to check that out before the race.
Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Well, it is all going down. We're recording a little bit later than we usually do on a Wednesday, so the race is happening in a few hours here for the women's race. So
Paris,
we will see. Oh man, it's crazy. Love it. Love to see it. It's going to be a lot of excitement over the next few days, which seems like a lot.
And then it's
I wonder if there's anyone other than Kristen that's like doing both. Is there anyone else?
I don't know. So from Paris over, I don't know. Into Singapore, like Taylor Nibb's not, right? So
no,
I don't think there's anyone at the cruise level, at least.
I mean, not surprising that it's only one person. More surprising that there is one person.
There's definitely no one that did Milwaukee, Paris, and Singapore.
Oh man, and we got 70.3 worlds after that. Oof.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's going to be a fun few races to watch, and we will be back with the recaps on all of them next week here. I think that's us for tonight. We will, be back. As always, send in your questions. Give us a follow on social media at Another Triathlon Podcast. And let us know if there's anything that piques your interest on social media for our social media post of the week. And let us know if there's anything more you want to see on here. And if you can, I know I sound like all the other podcasts. I'm sorry. Give us a rating and review because it really helps us out. We want to keep bringing these to you, and that just helps other people find us as well. So we will be back and chat soon. Have a good night, Josh.
Have a good night. Thanks, everyone.